It's time for At Home with the RubberDucks, powered by First Energy. 640 WHLO gets you closer to your hometown team with stories of the game and updates from the season ahead.
Line to left center, that's a base hit and a game winner for the Akron RubberDucks.
Akron RubberDucks baseball, affordable family fun.
High drive to right, that's well hit, back, that ball is gone, it's a home run.
Here's your hosts, Marco Lanave and Jim Clark.
Hello again, and welcome into At Home with the RubberDucks on this Sunday, May 17th. Marco Lanave and Jim Clark. We're still waiting for an announcement about the start of baseball season at Canal Park. But, Jim, it was fun to take a little stroll back in time with one of the recent RubberDucks as we got a chance this past week.
With Triston McKenzie, the highly touted right-hander, former number one pick. Of course, we had him in 18, beginning in June, pitched so well, lost him in the playoffs and all the injuries, came back to Tristan, but he's healthy now. Boy, he is such an engaging young man. He's down to earth. And what you see is what you get when you talk to Triston McKenzie.
And we had a chance to filter the questions from season ticket holders and clients, partners of the RubberDucks and fans who submitted those. We got to share those with Tristan, and he had some fun answers, especially about his time as a young baseball player. So we will share that with you as well. And Jim, it was just fun to see him in a relaxed setting, I think, like that.
He seems to always be like that. I don't know how you do it, but he does it very well. He's just a great young kid, and well, you really hope he gets his chance to throw again, which he's going to throw this week, as a matter of fact. But you want him back on the mound in the Indians organization. He has so much to offer. He's just great for the Indians organization from top to bottom.
Talented on the mound and certainly understands his role as a role model off the field as well. So we'll make sure to get you that conversation here shortly, but want to remind you again, as a listener to At Home with the RubberDucks, you can participate in a special merchandise deal that is available on the Akron RubberDucks online team store, which, by the way, is selling masks. If you're looking to obtain a RubberDucks-themed mask, you can get that at akronrubberducks.com. But the special promotion for listeners, you get 20% off any baseball cap in the online team store. So go to akronrubberducks.com, and then at checkout, once you've finished your order on the online team shop, you can use the promo code RADIO. And again, that will take 20% off the price for baseball caps in the online team store. So now we go to our conversation with 2018 RubberDucks pitcher, Cleveland Indians prospect, Triston McKenzie. So Tristan, just as an introduction, first of all, thanks for joining us. And since we last saw you at Canal Park, what's sort of been the story in the interim?
It's been a lot of just working my way back into getting the game speed and doing a lot of little stuff, especially on the rehab front, being that I was hurt after that 18 year. I was hurt at the beginning of the 18 year, and then I was hurt all year last year. So a lot of my time has been spent just kind of reflecting on what it was going to take and what I was going to have to do to get back on the field and be healthy and perform.
And there were a number of people that asked some version of this question. Josh M., Brent V., and Christine C. Basically wanting to know, Tristan, how are you staying in shape both physically and mentally at this point?
Right now, it's different from the rehab process. Right now is a lot of just a waiting game and kind of spinning your wheels because nobody kind of knows what's going to happen. With the rehab process, especially last year, there's a timeline. So it's very easy to get into a routine and kind of prepare for what you think is going to happen and where you want to be in the foreseeable future.
Hi, Tristan. Jim Clark from Donald Eld and Caden Gottschall. And one of what's different about your workouts now compared to when a normal off-season workout, and really, what are you doing?
So a lot of my early workouts, especially when I left Arizona, so when I left spring training and I came home, a lot of it was just kind of doing stuff on my own in my own home and this little patio behind me, trying to get some body weight work in and doing some stuff that I could just stay in shape. Florida's one of those states, because I'm back home in Florida, one of those states is kind of starting to open up a little bit. We're trying to figure out a way to where I can get back into the gym and kind of get more into a baseball training perspective rather than an at-home training perspective. I really, really, really miss baseball, and I really want to get out there, and I really want to play. And right now I can't. So a lot of it's just kind of preparing as best you can for what you hope for a season is going to be. Whereas last year it was a lot of, all right, I know what's going on. I can track where Akron's games are going. I can track where Columbus's games are going. I can look at what Lynchburg's doing and can kind of plan out like, all right, I'm this far in my rehab and this is where I want to get to by next week, or this is where it's planned out. And it's a lot more structured in that environment, whereas now there's a lot up in the air.
Tristan, who's going to catch you when you throw tomorrow?
I actually got to throw some pens early on in the quarantine social distancing process because my younger brother's roommate was actually living at our home for a little bit, named CJ Rodriguez. He actually came home with them from Vanderbilt. So I had a personal catcher for a couple weeks there, which was really, really nice on my end. There's some guys I know that are training a little bit north of me in like Palm Beach Garden, Florida. So there's a couple catchers, a couple hitters, a bunch of pitchers, just trying to get some work in and possibly get ready for the season here soon.
This one from Jason H. Tristan, do you feel as though your back has fully healed so you can throw without restrictions? You may have partially answered that.
If I could give more than 2 thumbs up, I would. Arm feels great, back feels great, whole body feels great. Just ready to get out there.
Okay, Tristan, from Katie Jackson, you've had a lot of time, free time. What are you doing with it?
Lots of Netflix, lots of Hulu, Amazon Prime, any other streaming services, I'm on there. And then lots of video games, and then just kind of, since I've been home, just hanging out with my brother, bothering him a lot. I miss him. I haven't seen him in a minute, so bothering him a lot, and then bothering my parents, kind of just interacting, spending family time.
This is from Mitch. Tristan, what's it like being the young guy when you're in spring training or wherever, dealing with all the guys who've been to the big leagues, and you're the young guy in this situation? What's that like?
This spring training was, I'd say it was really eye-opening for me, being that it was my first big league spring training. So it was very different for me being around a lot of those guys. Like, I had interacted with a lot of guys just in passing, and then being around guys like Savali or Plesac or Bieber, where I'd played with them, it's a lot easier for me to relate to those guys. But this year it was kind of full-blown in terms of I was around Francisco Lindor, I was around Jose Ramirez, I was around Carlos Santana, I was around Roberto Perez, like guys that when you go home and you like, oh, I want to watch Indians baseball, like you turn on your TV, those are the faces that you see. So for me, it was very different being around them in like a personal space. But I'd say as an organization as a whole, especially those guys who are like the leaders of the clubhouse, mainly following Tito's lead, they're very welcoming, especially to their young guys, in terms of they know that a lot of their success that they're having is, at least for right now, is coming from the guys that are there, but the success that they want to have in the future and the brand that they want to build within our organization comes from a lot of the young guys. So they're very welcoming and they're very forthgiving in terms of like their experience and their knowledge towards the younger guys.
All right, Tristan, we've got one similar between Tim F. and Daniel O. Basically asking what's been the biggest hurdle or hardest aspect of your development path to this point?
110% my injuries. I'd say a lot of baseball is chance in terms of if a guy squares a ball up or if he misses it just a little bit. So I feel like a lot of that you can't put a lot of weight on in terms of performance, or when you go out there, you're just going to do the best you can regardless. A lot of the training aspect is very easy to come by. But I'd say the hardest part for me is kind of like when you get put into a situation where you don't really have control over it, which for me was multiple injuries or injuries that are coming. So I get hurt and I don't necessarily know where to go from here. It's a lot of just waiting and sitting on your hands and not knowing where to go from here, because a lot of my world and a lot of what I love to do and what my job is revolves around the game of baseball. And at certain points, it's just taken away from me.
We got a couple from Kelly Stone here, Tristan. How'd you like Tri-Fest first?
I loved it. I very, very, very much enjoyed my time up in Cleveland. February 1st. Wasn't that long ago. Everything was a little bit different, though. But the energy up there, the fans, interacting with just the city of Cleveland on a whole, for me, that was the first time I've been up there right before the season. That was the first time I've been up there for Tri-Fest. I felt like, just like how the organization is very welcoming to me and a lot of their young guys, I feel like me being up there, I feel like a lot more people knew my name than I would have expected to. And I feel like the city as a whole was very welcoming to me.
That was pitcher Tristan McKenzie And this portion of At Home with the Rubber Ducks was brought to you in part by High Voltage Karting and 5 Star Meats, both partners presenting Rubber Ducks baseball. We'll have more with Tristan McKenzie right after this.
You're listening to At Home with the Rubber Ducks on 640 WHLO, your new home for Akron Rubber Ducks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Here at Sarah Auto Park, community service has always been a priority of ours. These days, that spirit is more important than ever. Join us as we do everything we can to take care of our doctors, nurses, all other essential businesses, and their employees. If our community needs us for anything, even to safely get a bag of groceries to our most vulnerable, we're here. We'll get through this together. Sarah Auto Park.
This is Rubber Ducks broadcaster Marco Lanave. When people ask me who's the #1 pick for print and copy solutions in the Akron area, I tell them Meritech, the pride of the Rubber Ducks for the past 9 years. Meritech's roster also includes IT consulting, cloud voice and data services for a powerhouse lineup to reduce risk, control costs, and increase productivity. So call Team Meritech today and tell them the Rubber Ducks sent you. Meritech Technology to empower your business.
Exceptional care means having access to world-class physicians and services. That's the care Cleveland Clinic Akron General provides to Akron and the surrounding communities. Whether it's primary care or specialized services, we put your needs first with care that is comprehensive and, best of all, close to home. Cleveland Clinic Akron General is committed to the community and your health. To learn more about our services close to you, visit akrongeneral.org.
KeyBank makes it easy to manage your money anytime, anywhere.
I am crushed for time.
KeyBank can help.
How? And how soon?
You have a smartphone?
I have to. It keeps me organized.
Download the KeyBank mobile app and then use your phone to deposit checks on the go, transfer money, even pay bills automatically.
Awesome.
Indeed. Learn how you can make even more financial progress when you use the Red Key. Only at KeyBank. Visit key.com or your local branch. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for a great apartment with the best location? Fir Hill Towers Apartments is just a 5-minute walk to the University of Akron or a 5-minute drive downtown. You'll find spacious living, convenience, and fun with a wide variety of restaurants and entertainment just outside your door. Perfectly suited for young professionals and students on the go looking for off-campus living. Stop by 55 First Street Hill, Akron, or call 330-762-7000. That's 330-762-7000 today and reserve your apartment home.
For a lawn that looks as good as Canal Park, depend on Grassmaster. They're a locally owned and operated full-service lawn and landscape company. The development of a healthy and attractive lawn or landscape requires a great deal of time and hard work. It's Grassmaster's commitment to providing the necessary ingredients of knowledge and treatment materials to develop a healthy and attractive lawn or landscape. By choosing Grassmaster as your lawn and landscape company, you are assuring that your investment is protected and will grow in value year after year. Visit thegrassmaster.com.
Everyone at Honda wants you to be safe. And right now, you need a car you can count on and your dealer to go the extra mile. So if your Honda needs parts or service, we're right here ready to help. Working to follow all government guidelines in order to get you what you need and help you stay safe with a reliable car that's ready to go when you need it.
Visit NorthernOhioHondaDealers.com.
Your business has a story to tell. Let Fast Signs Medina help you using the right mix of visual communication solutions like signs, banners, digital displays, fleet graphics, mobile marketing, health and safety communications, and so much more. Give Fast Signs Medina your business challenge and we'll come up with a plan to grow your business, reach more customers, and accomplish more than you ever thought possible. Fast Signs Medina. More than fast, more than signs, more than ready to help you grow your business. Call today and say Go Ducks for your discount.
This is At Home with the Rubber Ducks on 640 WHLO.
Deep drive out to right field. Rafaela turning, watching. It's gone to the Bud Light line. Tiki Terrace.
Your new home for Rubber Ducks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Welcome back. This is Marco Lanave, and this portion of At Home with the Rubber Ducks is brought to you in part by Planet Fitness and Johnny Lote's Latin Street Corn, both part of our lineup presenting Rubber Ducks baseball. Jim Clark and I now continue the fan question-driven conversation with Cleveland Indians pitching prospect Tristan McKenzie.
Best baseball memory, either high school or travel ball.
2 examples. So one would be when I played in Cooperstown at the age of 12. Just a lifelong memory for me. It's something I'll never forget. I really enjoyed just kind of going up there and spending time with my team. That was the first time I'd kind of been away from home and been isolated from everything but baseball. So that was a very eye-opening thing for me. And I think that's kind of where I not developed the love for the game, because that started at a very young age, but I think that's where it started to mature and kind of develop for me a little bit more. And then 2 would be when I was in high school and I made it to the state tournament. I think that was a big thing for me. And then following that would obviously be getting drafted.
How about advice for all the young athletes who follow you now?
The biggest thing for me, the biggest thing, enjoy the game. Whether it be the little training stuff that you don't like to do, whether it be just going out there and having fun with your friends. I'd say the biggest thing about playing the game of baseball at a high level, you have to enjoy what you do. And I think a lot of that comes from just building a love for the game at a young age in terms of doing the little things.
Jason H., a different Jason H.
Okay.
Tristan, was there a moment that you knew you had a shot of becoming a professional?
I would say it was turbulent for me in terms of like my developmental growth in the baseball field. Going into my junior year, I was still very much like open to talking to colleges. I'd only talked to small D1s at that time. And then during my junior year, like I began to talk to larger D1s. So I talked to a small D1 that Jacob deGrom went to, is called Stetson in DeLand, Florida. So I talked to them like the end of my freshman year going into my sophomore year. But my dream school at the time was I wanted to go to University of Miami. It's like close to home. That's where a lot of the big boppers came through, like Manny Machado. That's like a big name for me, especially coming up, growing, watching baseball. There's guys from like your area. So I wanted to go to Miami. So going into my junior year, coming out of my junior year, it was like I started to catch more interest from schools, not even thinking about the professional side of it. Just kind of, I want to go to Miami. I want to go to Miami. And then I got offers from very good schools. So I talked to several different schools and I ended up settling on Vanderbilt, which I think is a great institution. And then at that point, my mind didn't go any further than that until probably later, coming up into my senior year, when I started to attract attention from pro scouts. And when they kind of came to me and were like, hey, we think you have a chance, was kind of like when my eyes were open. I was like, wow, I might have a chance at this.
And you mentioned Vanderbilt. You didn't go there, but now your brother goes there. So how was his process, similar or different?
I think his process was a little different from mine. Mine was kind of the first go through. I'm a huge Vanderbilt fan, but I think his process was a little bit different. He kind of hung around for a lot of my process. So when I went on my visit, when I interacted with a lot of the coaches, when I was on a lot of the phone calls with the coaches, he would be right there to kind of see how I handled it, just in case that he would have to go through the same process. And I think the love that I had for the school, he got, but from an earlier age. So he actually committed at the end of his freshman year. So I think his process was completely different, whereas I committed late in my junior year, going into my senior year.
Have one from Brady Parks. You have a fastball mid-90s, average around 92, 93. Good breaking ball, change up, swings and misses. What's your favorite pitch to throw from all those?
Whatever one they don't hit.
I like that.
Whatever one does not get hit, or whatever one gets my team to win, is my favorite pitch. Personally, I like my fastball. I like to think it's like a Aroldis Chapman fastball. It doesn't actually play that way, but in my mind, that's how it plays. So that's the one I like to throw the most.
And this one's a little bit related. You talk about those pitches. You're able to get a little bit more data on some of those. So Anthony B. asks, what are your thoughts on the increased importance of technology in the game of baseball?
There's a lot of different information out there. There's a lot of different information, especially like guys at the highest level that they get to receive just on a constant basis in terms of like, it's very immediate. It's guys at the big league level, mainly the Astros, where they're able to see something and they're able to relay it like almost instantaneously. And I think that's helpful. And it just kind of it kind of depends on the player you are. Lots of guys are very analytical and they dive into that stuff really heavy. And a lot of guys like to just go based on what they feel. I feel like I'm kind of a little bit of both. I kind of have a foot in both worlds, where I like to go a lot based on feel and what the hitter's showing me, or what the other team is showing me, or what even my catcher's telling me my stuff looks like that day. Whereas a lot of guys will say, oh, this guy cannot hit this pitch because certain data says so. So I'm kind of a little bit of both.
From Brian W., when you're struggling with your command, when you're having a tough night, what are some of your go-to adjustments on the fly that you make?
A lot of that comes down to relying on my mechanics and relying on a lot of the stuff that I did in between my starts. So in between, let's say my Friday. So let's say I throw on Friday, and in those next 5 days, a lot of that is one, building my body back so that I'm at an optimum position to go out and pitch in 5 days, but two, kind of figuring out how my body feels and how I can get back to what I consider a center or what I consider my mechanics. So if I'm in a game and stuff's not going too hot or I don't necessarily feel 100%, I can always rely on what I worked on in those 5 days or what I worked on prior.
We have one from Dave Bergson. Who's the toughest batter you have faced?
When it comes to like a hitter that I would preferably not face, Austin Hayes. The very first game I pitched against him, I actually was like the first game in Lynchburg in 2017 that I think I struck out. I struck out over 10. I want to say it was like 14, 13, something like that. So it was a really, really good game for me. And the beginning of the game was, he was a leadoff hitter, ended up getting like to a full count. And it's like the very beginning of the game. So in my mind, I'm like trying to find my footing, trying to like get into a groove for the game, kind of like determine how the rest of the game is going to go. And he came up and it was like 3-2. And I kind of grooved the fastball inside, home run. So from that point on, it was like full gas pedal, full like go. And I ended up striking out 14. I think he had 3 at-bats against me. He got on base every single time, first of all. And then second of all, I think I walked him in his either his second or his third at-bat. And I just overheard him, like, I'm on the mound. He gets to first base. And I hear him talking to his first base coach, like, while he's taking off his gloves. And he goes, yeah, I don't know why these guys can't hit him. And I'm fuming on the mound. Fuming. I couldn't get around the fact that, like, I felt like I was out there trying to dominate guys, and I felt like I was doing a good job of that. And I just, no matter what I did, no matter what I tried, no matter what the catcher put down, it was like getting put in play, getting fouled off, and it was being hit hard.
From Anthony Warner, what's the best advice that you've heard that has helped you in your career?
There's so many different guys that I feel like have helped me on the road to who I have become and who I'm becoming. I'd say a big one for me, especially once I got into pro ball, was to kind of look and listen to the guys that have been around before you. There's a lot of experience in baseball, especially when it comes to coaching, especially when it comes to guys that have been in your situation before. Let's say they're repeating AA, let's say they're repeating high A or whatever it is, kind of going into a clubhouse and kind of learning from the guys that have been there before and paying attention and not really talking too much or kind of going about yourself and being more about the team. I think that was a really big piece of information for me in terms of my development, in terms of kind of figuring out who I want to be when I come into a clubhouse, who I want to be when I go out into the field. And I think that allows me to be adaptable to whatever situation I'm in.
You feel like you're always learning then, basically?
Yes, always. There's always room for growth, and there's plenty of information out there, whether it be from your teammate, whether it be from the clubby who's been in the same clubhouse for multiple years, whether it be the away clubby who knows a little bit about this or a little bit about that. I feel like there's always information that you can gather.
That was pitcher Tristan McKenzie, and this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks was brought to you in part by the Akron Zoo and Pellegrino Music Center, both on the team of partners presenting RubberDucks baseball. For your chance to be part of a future Indians prospect Q&A powered by First Energy, visit akronrubberducks.com and follow the RubberDucks on social media. I'm Marco Lanave, and after the break, you'll hear more of Tristan McKenzie answering questions submitted by RubberDucks fans. That comes your way right after this.
You're listening to At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO, your new home for Akron RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy. This is At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO.
Luda going back. It's over his head. It's over the wall. The first AA home run for Oscar Gonzalez.
Your new home for RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Welcome back. This is Marco Lanave, and this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks is brought to you in part by Aimbridge Hospitality, Fairfield Inn and Suites, and the Courtyard by Marriott Akron Fairlawn, all in our lineup presenting RubberDucks broadcasts on 640 WHLO. Jim Clark and I now continue with 2018 RubberDucks pitcher and current Indians prospect Tristan McKenzie answering the questions of RubberDucks fans. Well, Tristan, kind of a related one. This is from Justin B. You mentioned absorbing information from a lot of different people, but who would you say has been the biggest influence on your career to this point?
My father, just in terms of being around me and showing me the game of baseball in the first place. And then on top of that, him learning about the game himself and then imparting that onto me. And I feel like even to this day, he's the person that almost as much as I know myself, he might know me even a little bit better. So when I go out and I have a good start, he's able to kind of pick apart like what I did well, what I didn't do well. And we can have grown-up decisions and grown-up conversations about, like, let's say I go out and I have a terrible start and I don't really want to talk about it. Like, we're able to have those discussions as to what I might have done or what I could have done better. It's a little easier to relate to and kind of give that information back and forth. Whereas let's say it's a coach that you just met, you met him in March and you're trying to have a discussion like that in April when you're a little bit touchy about the subject.
From Justin T. Have you ever considered hitting, or as a position player, where would you be?
Growing up, I was a hitter. In high school, I hit, but seeing some of the guys now, like, I would not want to face myself at all. Like, if you're like, hey, Tristan, we'll go just taking the bat against yourself, I'd be like, I'm good. You can have that. Because, some of these guys throw way too hard. But if I had to play a position, I would play defense. I like defense. I would play we got a pretty good shortstop at the big league level. Yeah, I squeeze myself in at second, I guess, because I don't know where else you can put me. We got a pretty stacked team.
And do you played a position in high school or youth ball other than pitcher?
I played shortstop for a time growing up, and then I'd say once I really started to hit my growth spurt, so like around my freshman year, they kind of moved me to first, especially to preserve my arm because there's a lot of throws that come from shortstop. So I played first a lot, especially because I was tall and snag some stuff.
We have one from an anonymous attendee. What player, past or present, you feel your game emulates the most?
Comparisons I've gotten have been like Carl Edwards Jr. because he's skinny. Personally, if I wanted a comparison, I'd want it to be like Doc Gooden. He was a very, very dominant pitcher, and he actually played in Lynchburg, which is crazy. But he's a very dominant pitcher with just absolute stuff. And I feel like he was very ahead of his game mentally in terms of like how he approached the game. But I'd say persons that I try to emulate, less on the pitching side and more on like just who they are as a player and who they are as a person, would be like Derek Jeter or like Chris Archer. When I grew up, Derek Jeter was my favorite player. You'd never see his name in the papers for anything other than him playing well at baseball. He may have had a bad game, but you never hear from him. And I always strived as like a young player, and always, even to this day, to be what he was referred to as the captain, or maybe even like a silent captain.
So, Tristan, you've had a chance to be around a lot of different baseball players. Is there anyone in baseball or otherwise that you've met that you really were sort of awestruck?
There's been a couple. So one, Frankie, like Lindor is like, he's the most humble, down-to-earth guy, but at the same time, he's like larger than life. And I don't even know how to explain that or convey that emotion that you feel just being around him. But I'd say the same feeling that fans get when, let's say, he's walking down the side, or like when he's walking down the line, he's signing autographs, is the same feeling that you get from him in the locker room, where he's the guy. Everybody knows he's the guy. He knows he's the guy, but you would never tell it by talking to him or by looking at him.
From Anthony Warner, who's your dream hitting matchup?
Just like growing up, I really, really, like, if I put myself in that situation, the guy that I wanted to get out was Barry Bonds. The only stories you hear about him are he is the best hitter ever, in my mind. Like, I'm going to go out there, and for me to beat him, it's going to be something special. So if I had to face anybody, it would be Barry Bonds.
Tristan, next one from Trevor M. He wants to know how much discussion there is with your catcher before a particular game about how to attack certain hitters.
I'd say it depends on the team a lot, but what I talked about earlier in terms of like how I lead up into each start, those kind of 4 days in between each start are very imperative to what goes on in that start, whether it be the training or the go-to plan for, all right, we faced this guy before, we faced this lineup before, we faced this organization before. this is what their organizational philosophy is in terms of hitting. This is what this guy likes. This is what this guy doesn't like. Their 3-hitter is a fastball hitter, so we're gonna throw him backwards. Or let's say their leadoff hitter is more of a slappy guy, so we're not gonna throw him too many off-deeds. We're gonna stay hard and we're gonna stay in. But a lot of that goes on the day before a game and right before the game. And then even there's little adjustments that are made pitch to pitch. There's little adjustments that are made inning to inning. So whether that be on my part, whether that be on the catcher's part, whether that be something the manager or the pitching coach sees in the dugout. Let's say I'm facing that little slappy guy and I throw him a 1-1 changeup away and he kind of flares it down the line. And the scouting report says, you have to stay hard in. And I want to throw something else. I may shake off to get that pitch. And then depending on the result of that, I'll have like more information to go on for the future. Or let's say the coach sees something, or let's say the catcher sees something. Let's say I throw him a fastball inside and he turned on it really well. And let's say the scouting report is to throw fastballs in, but he's seeing that really well. The catcher may say, hey, we want to go soft away. So a lot of that's just pitch to pitch, game to game, inning to inning, whatever it is.
And you mentioned that time between starts. In the minor leagues, of course, you're even sitting in the stands at times, charting part of the duties for the starters.
Yeah.
What can you learn out of doing those? What's sort of the biggest thing you've taken from those?
How the rotation goes usually is you're in the stands the 2 days before you actually pitch. It depends on the pitching coach you have and stuff like that. But a lot of times I like being in the stands before I pitch because you're able to pay attention to the game from a different perspective. It actually happened a lot in 17 when Bieber, Savali, and I were, all three of us were in Lynchburg at the same time, where we'd kind of throw back-to-back days, and we'd converse about it. Let's say Savali went out and he threw. He'd be like, I threw this guy this, and I threw him a sinker, and he hit it pretty well, but I think if you throw him this, you might be able to get him out. And then let's say you're sitting behind the plate, and you see those same things. You kind of formulate your own opinions and your own ideas, and then you get extra information from your teammates, or let's say whatever the gameplay actually is, you're able to kind of go forward from there.
You have a breakout year in 17. Your futures game, all-star, midseason all-star, postseason all-star, 186 strikeouts, 143 innings. Then you come to Double-A. You're held off until June, but you pick right up where you left off in Single-A and Double-A. Was there much of an adjustment from A ball to Double-A ball?
I'd say there's an adjustment at every single level, but it just depends on different players adjust to it differently. And I feel like that jump from Single-A to Double-A is a lot harder for hitters than it is for pitchers. And then I'd say coming into the season in 18 where I did, so coming into Double-A in the middle of June when my teammates had already kind of faced some of those lineups before, faced some of those guys before, it was a lot easier for me in terms of like that information that I said that I'm able to go and ask a guy, like, what did he see? How did he look? A lot of that information was a little more pinned down in the middle of the season as opposed to early in the season. So I was able to make that adjustment quickly just based on not the information or like the work that I put in, but just the guys around me.
That was Indians pitching prospect Tristan McKenzie. And this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks was brought to you in part by Precious Cargo Trailways and Scene 75 Entertainment Center on the team of partners for RubberDucks broadcast this season. Stay tuned because the rest of our conversation with Tristan McKenzie is coming up after this.
You're listening to At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO, your new home for Akron RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Are you looking for a great apartment with the best location? Fir Hill Towers Apartments is just a 5-minute walk to the University of Akron or a 5-minute drive downtown. You'll find spacious living, convenience, and fun with a wide variety of restaurants and entertainment just outside your door. Perfectly suited for young professionals and students on the go looking for off-campus living. Stop by 55 First Street Hill, Akron, or call 330-762-7000. That's 330-762-7000 today and reserve your apartment home.
There aren't many things in life that are easy. There's easy listening music, easy chairs, easy money, But did you know that you can enjoy all three while getting rid of your old energy-wasting refrigerator? You can schedule a pickup without moving from your easy chair. We'll haul it away and even pay you for it. So go ahead, take it easy, and let us take it from here. First Energy's Ohio Utilities will pick up your fridge and you'll get $50. Just visit EnergySaveOhio.com to schedule a pickup. Now that's easy.
What's better than a good steak? A great steak at a great value in a fun place. Texas Roadhouse. From fall-off-the-bone ribs to made-from-scratch sides, we've got something for everybody. Great steak at a great value. Texas Roadhouse. Located at 4310 Lake Point Corporate Drive in Stowe. And now offering drive-through, carry-out, and curbside service. Visit TexasRoadhouse.alohaorderonline.com or call 330-920-9844.
Bridgestone Drive Guard tires deliver a clutch performance that won't leave you stranded on the side of a rural road or a busy highway. They're engineered to take a puncture and to keep running up to 50 miles after a flat at 50 miles an hour. Plus, you'll get the smooth, quiet ride and impressive tread wear life you've come to expect from Bridgestone tires. Let the clutch performance of Bridgestone Drive Guard tires give you peace of mind. Bridgestone, proud sponsor of the Akron RubberDucks.
Here at Sarah Auto Park, community service has always been a priority of ours. These days, that spirit is more important than ever. Join us as we do everything we can to take care of our doctors, nurses, all other essential businesses, and their employees. If our community needs us for anything, even to safely get a bag of groceries to our most vulnerable, we're here. We'll get through this together. Sarah Auto Park.
No savvy traveler likes long lines or waiting around. So, lucky for you, the Akron-Canton Airport is easy and fast. With affordable on-site parking, quick check-in, and short security lines, you'll be through the airport in just minutes. CAK gives you more freedom to enjoy the things you love, like vacationing. With low fares to 11 nonstop destinations and just one stop to the world, book your next adventure from CAK.
RubberDucks fans, check out City Barbecue in Fairlawn for the best barbecue in town.
I gotta tell you, City Barbecue is the best smoked meats I've ever experienced in my life.
Literally the best beef brisket sandwich I've ever had.
Definitely the best barbecue I've ever had.
My best all-around barbecue experience ever.
Best barbecue around.
Some of the best barbecue I've personally tasted.
I highly recommend this spot for some of the best BBQ you'll ever have.
Visit citybarbecue.com or stop by 2870 West Market Street in Fairlawn.
Everyone at Honda wants you to be safe. And right now, you need a car you can count on and your dealer to go the extra mile. So if your Honda needs parts or service, we're right here ready to help. Working to follow all government guidelines in order to get you what you need and help you stay safe with a reliable car that's ready to go when you need it.
Visit NorthernOhioHondaDealers.com.
This is At Home with the RubberDucks on 640 WHLO.
Deep drive out to right field. Rafaela turning, watching. It's gone to the Bud Light line, Tiki Terrace.
Your new home for RubberDucks baseball, powered by First Energy.
Welcome back. This is Marco Lanave, and this portion of At Home with the RubberDucks is brought to you in part by Summa Health and Visit Jacksonville, both in the lineup presenting RubberDucks broadcasts on 640 WHLO. We now resume the fan Q&A with Jim Clark and I talking with Tristan McKenzie. Pat M. Wants to ask about your pitching coaches, like Tony Arnold, who we had last year in Akron, or any previous coaches. What have they sort of taught you, or what have you been able to learn from them?
So a lot of them have a ton of information so that, let's say you do run into something in the middle of the game, they may be able to give you a tip or a trick here and there that might help you kind of extend your outing. But I'd say the biggest thing for me, information-wise, from a lot of my pitching coaches, whether it be TA, whether it be Rigo, Cat's no longer with us, but those guys kind of teach you how to prepare for those starts, how to mentally prepare, what to do when you get in certain situations, how to attack lineups. And they go more on the mental side of it so that it's more of a stay ready so you don't have to get ready. They kind of get you in a space where when you go out there, you feel like you have a plan. Regardless of what happens, you know that the guy behind the plate, the guys behind you on the field, the guys in the dugout, and the coaching staff all have your back regardless of what happens.
All right. This is a question from, I presume, a young ball player, Jacob H. He's age 8. asking any tips for youth pitchers out there.
For me personally, it's kind of monitoring your level of play all the time and constantly observing and constantly learning. Because at the age of 8, I wasn't going out there for much, but just playing the game because my friends were out there playing with me. A lot that's going on in baseball is more paying attention and trying to learn and be a better version of you, and then also monitoring how you feel and whether you feel good this day or whether you feel bad this day, figuring out a way that you can constantly get better.
From Brian W., how do you care for your arm after you pitch?
There's a ton of stuff. A lot of that doesn't come specifically from me. A lot of that comes from the guys that I'm around. It's more like I get done with a start, and the main things when I go to my recovery are to talk to my trainer, to talk to the strength coach, and just kind of figuring out like how my body feels and what they think I need to do, whether it be I'm lifting in between most every start, and it's just kind of like figuring out what lift I need to do based on how my body feels, what recovery treatments I need to do with the trainer, whether it be a massage, whether it be Mark Pro, whether it be ice, whether it be an ice bath, whether it be heat and massage or whatever it is. It's just kind of like going based on how I feel personally and what their recommendations are.
Now, you've had some highs and lows. What have you learned from the injuries? What has it done with you inside?
One, it's helped me appreciate the game of baseball. I'd say I've always grown up with a love of the game of baseball, but the appreciation for how easily accessible it was for me when I was healthy, as opposed to when they were telling me like, no, you cannot play. Don't pick up a baseball. Don't do this. Don't do that. That was very different for me because growing up my whole life, I'd never been hurt. So I'd say the injuries kind of taught me to appreciate what I have while it's with me, and kind of going out there. And every time that I do get to play or when I do get to pitch in a game, enjoying what that feels like, because you never know when it can be taken away, even from a weird circumstance like the coronavirus.
From that time in Akron that you did have in 18, was there a particular highlight from that time?
I want to say the exact date's like August 13th or something like that. It was like a special night. We wore special jerseys, and there's a cancer hospital that's close to the field. And one of the little girls that has cancer, she designed our jersey. And I had her sign my jersey before the game, and I had like one of my better starts of the year. And it was like the most fulfilling thing for me. In the middle of the game, I want to say in like the 5th inning, they stopped the whole game in between the innings. And her and I don't know if it was her mother or somebody else, got to kind of run around the bases and slap hands with all our team members and all the opposing team members. And I know what it did for me, so I can't imagine how she felt being in that situation with all eyes on her and being in that situation where everybody's rooting for her. So that was a really big moment for me in 18.
You're in Florida, grew up in Florida, but you were born in New York. How long were you in New York? What do you remember from that?
I wasn't up there too long. I want to say my family moved down to Florida when I was around 4.5, 5. So I was getting close to 5. I'd say I remember like one time it specifically snowing. I was really young at that time. And then I remember I actually had pictures of it in my house. The reason I'm a Yankees fan, my dad took me to a Yankees game, and I want to say I was about 2.5 or 3. And all I remember from the game was just he put me on his shoulders. So he picked me up, put me on his shoulders, and all I remember from the game is just being like this for most of the game.
We have one from Anthony Warner. With all this Michael Jordan stuff right now, who's the best basketball player in your mind of all time that you have seen, basically?
This debate might get me in trouble. So personally, I grew up a Kobe fan. My dad, like, I don't know if he bred me to be a Lakers fan or what it was, but like when I grew up, I wore 24 a lot. Big Kobe fan, huge Kobe fan. So like in my mind, Kobe is like the best it's ever been, just in terms of his mentality and how he went about his game. I never actually got to see Jordan play, so it's a little bit different for me. But that Mamba mentality was something that I kind of strive for, even on the baseball field, when it came to like attacking hitters or kind of going after the opposing team, where I'd be on the outside and make it look like I'm cool and relaxed and what was happening wasn't bothering me or what it was. But on the inside, I was trying to attack and like make everybody on the other team respect me and know that like no matter what you guys do, I'm going to win in my mind.
If you were not playing baseball, what sport would you be playing?
Probably volleyball, honestly. Mom was like, nix football from a young age, especially because your boy was kind of skinny. So she didn't want to see me get broken. And then I really didn't like basketball when I was young. I was a big germaphobe, and guys would like sweat and like rub up on me, and I used to get like super angry, so I didn't like that either. But like volleyball was good for me in terms of like it was a team sport. I was able to communicate with guys. I don't know if it was because I got a good arm, but I could really slam something. But I didn't play a whole bunch outside of baseball, honestly, growing up.
So even thinking outside of sports, if you were not a professional athlete, what would you be doing?
So growing up, I feel like a lot of parents are like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be this, you have to be that. I grew up wanting to be a heart surgeon for the longest time. I was actually very interested in my middle school and in my high school. I was in the medical program, and I think I was very good at it. But I never kind of pursued it past that. But I feel like if I could do anything, it'd probably be a surgeon, because I, one, really enjoy helping people, and two, I think it's really cool.
All right, we got one from Brian W. What is your favorite restaurant in Akron?
In Akron, Diamond Deli. In Cleveland, Pizza 216, easily. I'm a very big pizza guy. I really like Italian food in general.
We mentioned, guys that you might have been starstruck by, but who's the funniest teammate that you've had in pro ball?
There's different kinds of funny. So like just a straight up goofball, like I love to be around him. He's like possibly just one of the funniest guys to just be around in general, because he just does stuff sometimes, not even purposely being funny. It's just the way he does things makes you laugh because of his personality, is Juan Hillman. Like my best friend in pro ball, definitely one of the funniest dudes ever. But I never actually played with him. Austin Wade. He hasn't been to Akron yet. He probably will be here soon. He might be like a stand-up comedian. He is absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I love him.
All right. Well, just want to remind everybody that you can go to AkronRubberDucks.com for the latest updates on the season. Donate to the COVID-19 Relief Fund here through the Akron Cares program as well. So, Tristan, coming to the end here, but any last things that you want to say to the folks in Northeast Ohio?
I'm really sorry I missed you guys last year. I would have loved to be up there and kind of perform for you guys and be out there before all this happened. Hopefully I can see you again soon. Everybody stay safe. Everybody keep washing your hands, and hopefully we'll be up there soon.
Wherever you're at, Tristan, best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks again, Tristan. We really appreciate it. And thanks, everybody, for joining us this afternoon.
Definitely. My pleasure. My pleasure. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you to Tristan McKenzie for joining us and talking with RubberDucks fans earlier in the week. For your chance to be part of a future Indians Prospect Q&A powered by First Energy, visit AkronRubberDucks.com and follow the RubberDucks on social media. Tune in next Sunday evening at 6 o'clock for another episode of At Home with the RubberDucks. We'll bring these to you every week until the RubberDucks season begins. For Jim Clark, I'm Marco Lanabe. Stay safe and healthy, everyone.
Thanks for listening to At Home with the RubberDucks. To listen to previous shows or for more RubberDucks baseball, follow the Akron RubberDucks podcast on the iHeartRadio app. For the latest on the team, go to AkronRubberDucks.com and follow the Akron RubberDucks on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Akron RubberDucks Baseball. Affordable family fun.